Okay. Well, today is going to be the day that I finally do my faux hot ones. I got a whole bunch of hot sauces for Christmas from Hot Ones, the web series, and I have finally set up my little board and I'm going to go through and finally taste all of them. I have done a few of them already, the really mild ones, but I have not done the spicier ones towards the end. And so this is going to be interesting. But I thought it'd be fun to do a little like hot ones semi style format interview thing. So we will see how this goes. I know some people said they wanted to watch, so I'm going to ping some people here on Discord and see if they want to see me suffer. So let me do that really quick. So I get some people pinged really quick. And I should probably link them. I'm already sweating and I haven't had a single hot sauce yet. I think I'm going to try and record this one too and upload it to YouTube. And we'll see how this goes. Need to get a few more things ready here. Hey, Jim Jam. Hey, Lauren. Now you guys get to all see me cry on camera. It's going to be great. Okay. I think I'm ready to do this thing here. I'm so nervous. I've actually realized I've been putting this off because I've been talking about it since Christmas when I first got the sauces. And it's taken me this long to finally like go ahead and do it. So I showed the board earlier, but I tried to do it like even like in the style of hot ones. So you kind of see the sauces I got. Got my wings there. I got my milk and water to try and like actually manage to make it through this. I've got napkins and paper towels. So that's a great question, Jim Jam. So I used to be very, very tolerant to spicy foods, and I was like getting like increasingly tolerant as time went on. But there was a point in time, I was probably about 10 years ago, when like the guys at work I was working with, we kind of like kept up in the ante and finding hotter and hotter places to eat hot things. And we finally went to this one place, and they had these, they were called Great Balls of Fire. And they essentially were just like spicy balls of cheese. And you could get your picture on a wall. We didn't get our pictures on the wall, but we ate them. And I ended up eating two of them. And then we went back to the office and like decided to like eat spoonfuls of hot sauce afterwards that were like up there in the Scoville levels. And that night was one of the most miserable nights of my life. And that was pretty much the end of hot stuff for me. So I haven't been the same since then. Where did I work? I don't know if I should say the name, but it was a great place to work. I had a really fun team. I was the manager, and there was five guys that were pretty similar in age to me, and we were kind of like the rogue team that kind of like went in and just got things done. We were all software developers, so I am okay with spice to a degree, but I'm not as good as I used to be, and I guess I have a greater respect than I used to have for it now. So that's where I'm at with spiciness. Oh, okay. Might as well get the first wing out of the way here. So I already know a little bit about this one. This one's called Fiji Fire. And what I know about this one is that although on like, I don't know if you can actually see Nope, not in focus. So on the bottom of this, it says that it is 14.3 on the Scoville level. We already know that one's false. This one's spicier, and so it's not in the right order, but I'm just going to keep it in the order that it was on the show. And so I'm going to start out with that one. And so Fiji Fire, Native Bongo Chili Hot Sauce. So let's go ahead and do this. Get my first wing going. This feels so disgusting to be eating on a mic and on video. Now that one's pretty tasty. I like that one. It's spicy, but not really up there. But it's got flavor, which is good. So I think I'm supposed to be doing questions too. And so I'm going to really do this in the flavor of hot ones. And so since there's no one really interviewing me, I'm going to interview myself. But if you guys have questions, go for it too. So my first question was just like talking about my early life. What was I like as a little kid? I've always been an old man. I was always like a worrywart as a kid even. So I've just always been like that. I grew up on a farm in Pennsylvania. So I was pretty isolated and alone. I did a lot of reading, still do a lot of reading. It was a small farm town. Like my nearest neighbor was a mile away. It took us about a half an hour to get to like our school. Going to a movie theater is about like a 45-minute drive. Going to the mall was about an hour drive. And so I grew up running through the woods and playing a lot of outdoor games and doing a lot of reading. Hilariously, I grew up on a hay farm, and I'm allergic to hay. And my parents were very much of the mind that allergies were something you developed a immunity to if you just waited long enough. And so I was miserable for like most of my young life. And it wasn't until I met my wife that once we were married that she even like broached the subject of like why I wasn't taking allergy medications. I didn't even know those were a thing. And so my life's been a lot different since I started taking allergy medications. So, yep, grew up on a farm, but I was allergic to hay. Yeah. So a lot of like sneezing constantly, bloody noses constantly. And so I'd be out like raking hay on the tractor, and there's all this like big clouds of hay dust and sneezing like crazy. So that was my early life. It sounds miserable, but it's actually pretty fun. But I have a lot of like, we mentioned it today actually with like the question of the day on Discord. I have a lot of things that I don't know are wrong that I learned growing up that I'm learning now aren't actual things. And I gave the really simple example earlier of like being taught that you shouldn't sneeze with your eyes open because your eyeballs will pop out. I have a lot of like weird like farm urban legends. I grew up with like a fear of doctors. Like I'm nervous to go to doctors because I'm always think they're gonna like do something wrong, and I trust like home remedies better. So yeah, or like turning on the car at light at night, getting pulled over, or causing the driver to wreck instantly. Yeah, so we had the Farmer's Almanac was like a constant companion in our house. So that was my childhood. Fun times. Okay, on to my second wing here. This one is Dirty Dicks. It says hot pepper sauce with a tropical twist. It is 21,000 Scoville. The murdered by gangs is the with people are like flashing their lights. That can be a thing to signal murdering by gangs. Although in Pennsylvania we flash lights anytime we saw a cop. It was like considered. I have started eating Zuzu. I'm getting ready to eat my second wing. The first one was Fiji Fire. This one's called Dirty Dicks. Okay, let's see how Dirty Dicks goes. So that one is very sweet. I like that one a lot. So that was number 2. So let's go for question number 2. So my question pretends that they did research on me, and they start out with, "So you wrote a book? How did that happen?" So yeah, I wrote a book. This is hungry. That's great. I guess it was 15 years ago or so. Microsoft came out with this game framework called XNA. Yeah, if you got questions, go for it. I've got questions for myself, but I'm definitely taking audience questions as well. Yeah, so Microsoft came out with this game development framework called XNA, and I got way into it. I was really active on their forums. I was answering questions like crazy, and they gave me this award called a Microsoft MVP award. And it was they give these awards out to people that are active in different technology communities to recognize like the service they provide by supporting Microsoft technologies. And it came with a lot of perks. One of the major perks is that they would actually fly you up to campus and put you up there overnight for a few nights and kind of like give you sneak previews of things that you're doing. So I was an XNA MVP, their game dev framework technology, for about 8 years. I kept winning the award over and over again. And so part of that, with that like lifestyle, I guess, I got really active in the game development community. I wrote a game for the Xbox 360, just like a children's game. But I also got approached by Rocks Publishing to write a book. And so a friend of mine and we wrote a book for them called Windows Phone 7 Game Development. And so Microsoft released a phone a while back called Windows Phone 7, and I wrote how to make games for that. And I'm not like officially a game dev, I'm a hobbyist, Jim Jam. But yep, I do game development as my hobby. I've fallen out of practice as much once XNA died. I've actually got an XNA tattoo on my arm here. So because it had such a big impact on my life, it was a pretty life changing like time in my life. I guess a lot of really cool things happened. But yep, I wrote a book and it was really fun. What's okay? What now? My tattoo? Yeah, I've got several tattoos, but I have an XNA tattoo on my left arm here. Okay. I can tell you another tattoo about the story on the one on my back. That's probably a better tattoo story than my XNA tattoo. The XNA tattoo one was funny because when I got the tattoo for XNA, I got it just mostly because it was such a life changing experience for me. But when I shared pictures with it, I guess they started having meetings on the Microsoft campus about like what to do, because internally they knew that they were canning the technology, and so they weren't sure like how to approach me and if they could approach me because like they weren't really like allowed to like release that information to the public. And so I had a couple people reach out like privately as friends off record to be like, "Hey George, just to give you a heads up, we're canceling XNA." But I was fine with it because, like I said, it was mostly more about the stuff. Yeah, so my other tattoo story is a terrible one. It's such a horrible one. I feel like really bad even like sharing this thing. When I was in college, I came home and I had a friend of a friend who came back from being like a tattoo apprentice and was opening up shop. And so he was wanting to tattoo a bunch of us and just kind of get like his advertising out that he had a shop there. And so he was offering us to do it like severely discounted or free tattoos for the most part. And so I did a whole bunch of research. Didn't really have the internet at home, but I could go into the library and they had dial up there. And so I was doing a bunch of research, and I found this really cool website that had all these like Japanese characters and then like the English characters. So you'd see like a Japanese character in the letter A and a Japanese character in the letter B. I was like, this is fantastic. And so I showed it to the guy at the parlor, and he's like, "Hey, can you get this all printed out for me? And we'll blow it up and laminate and get it in my book." And so I did that. And I proceeded to get my initials on my back. And so I've got my three characters down my right shoulder. And tons of people got tattoos, and tons of people got Japanese tattoos. I've got one friend, he's got his daughter's name tattooed down his neck in Japanese characters. When I got back to campus and I sobered up, I suddenly started thinking, what in the world did I just do? I know that the Japanese language doesn't correspond to the English language. What the heck is in that book? And so I did a whole bunch of searching. I stayed up really late trying to re-find the site, and I finally found it. And what I had done was I had printed out a font. If you hit the letter A, it made this random Japanese character. And if you hit the letter B, it made this random Japanese character. And so it was just pure gibberish. Oh, that's one of those ones where it was like, it's too late to really do anything about it. Town was filled with tattoos. I've moved far away. The shop closed down at some point in time, but there are plenty of friends and family with insane Japanese tattoos back in a small farm town in Pennsylvania. So I think on mine, it should have been GWC, but instead it's the each character is about that high, so it just goes right down my shoulder blade. The first one is reading, writing, language, and culture. The second one is New Year's and New Beginnings, and the third one is absolutely gibberish, like it's not even a real character. So I like it. It's got a good story. Occasionally, I wake up in cold sweats that people hunt me down for that. But yeah, that's my tattoo stories. I want to get some more. I'm not sure exactly when, but I think next will probably be some sort of like grayscale dragon, maybe on my thigh or my calf. Okay, next wing here is Rogue. This one is a blood orange scorpion pepper sauce, and it is at 34,000. So this is number 3. This one looks very vinegary. It's more watery than some of the other ones here. Yeah, it is very vinegary, but it's tasty. I like that one. I like blood orange cider, so a blood orange sauce I'm down with. That was good. They're getting spicier, but I haven't had to drink anything yet, so it's not too crazy. I pre-made them all, so they're all coated. I brushed all the sauce on them, so it's how hot is it? It's hotter than sriracha. I'm trying to think like what would be less hot than. Less hot than maybe like the red peppers you get in the like Chinese food. So it's less hot than that, but it was hotter than like a sriracha sauce. Okay, question number 3. Mental health seems like a big deal to you. Can you talk about that more? You guys have probably heard me mention like me being in therapy or going to therapy and stuff like that. We're a pretty big supporter of therapy and therapists in this house. It started, I guess, years ago. I mean, decades ago. Hey, Shano. Just because my wife went through a really bad time and became suicidal, and it was really like a scary time at that point in our lives. It was really, really scary. And so a lot of doctor visits in and out. And eventually she had to go into an inpatient care and then eventually like an outpatient care. But between therapy and medications, she was able to kind of survive the ordeal, even though it was completely, yeah, Scoville. Even though it was completely terrifying, we made it through it. And so that was very much life changing for us. And we definitely count her therapist as like the reason why her life got saved. When her therapist finally like brought me in to the therapy session to kind of like fill me in on like how bad things had gotten. That was like a really big deal for us, and we're extremely thankful to that therapist. And then since then, we are always off and on going through therapy. My wife and I went to marriage counseling at one point in time, not because we were having like a rough patch, but just because I said I'd like to learn to like fight about some new things because I felt like we were always having like the same fights. And I said, why don't we go to therapy and find some new things to fight about? And so we went to marriage counseling, and that was a really interesting experience too. And it actually made our marriage a lot better. The thing that I got most out of that was just that it would have been really, really hard to have gone through marriage counseling had we been in a rough patch. And that was surprising to me. And so for people that are in rough patches and go through marriage counseling, it's like hats off to you for making it through that. So if you're not in a rough patch and you're in a relationship, you might want to go to a therapist ahead of time because it really was a really good experience, and helped us out a ton. And then I've been in therapy for over a year now. I think I've hit 13 or 14 months now, just by myself, going to therapy. I was struggling a lot with depression, just kind of like a lot of like beating myself up. And I think it kind of got a little overwhelming. And so I've been going to therapy for that. And it's been really good too. That's been pretty life changing. And so I go every 2 weeks to my therapist for that. Key to staying in a successful marriage. Oh man, that's a tough one. I don't know if I can find a single key. I mean, being flexible is one of those things. Learning to be friends is really important. I mean, the hardest thing about marriage is that we are all damaged goods. And when you're growing up, one of the things that you do, and humans do in general to survive, is you develop coping strategies, so that you can like maintain a level of sanity and happiness. However, you don't know that you've developed these strategies, and so you feel healthy and happy. And so that's I think the biggest point of conflict that you end up getting in a marriage is that you're going to be doing things and they're going to be doing things that feel very healthy to you, and they're going to cause conflicts, and that's going to be jarring because it doesn't feel like it should be causing conflicts because it's what you've developed to protect yourself, and it's what they've developed to protect themselves. And sometimes those things will align, and sometimes they won't. So I think just be ready for those types of things, and being like, you got to be constantly working on yourself as well as like together on your relationship, I guess. So, but being flexible and constantly growing, I think those are the two. If I had to say two things that you got to be doing, that's what you got to be doing. My wife and I have a hilarious coping thing is that we both like work so hard to protect the other one that we end up causing more damage than we intend as a result. And so it's things like that where it feels like that should be a good thing, right? Like trying to like be really careful and take care of each other, but you end up like causing like dishonesty and problems because if you would just like let them know how you're doing, or rather than being like, oh, they're having a rough day, I'm probably not going to share this with them right now. When you start to do those types of things, you actually cause more problems than you expect. So yeah, so staying flexible and constantly improving yourself, I'd say that might be my top two. Okay. This next one is called, I don't even know, Fia Fia. Fia Fia, open, go for broke, repeat, scorpion four pepper sauce blend. I think my lovely lady is watching. I don't think I've seen her type, but if Pink Floor Studio starts typing, that is my wife. Okay, let's see how Fia Fia does. Oh yeah, the Scoville in this one, we jumped up to 77,000 now. So Rogue was at 34, so we've doubled since the last one. So we'll see what Fia Fia is like. Okay, this one seems to like almost have soaked into the wing. It looks very like almost plain. So that must mean it's like a more vinegar-based one. Oh, fire, fire with a Boston accent. Oh, yeah. My wife lived in Mexico for her childhood, so me trying to say anything. It, I feel like that one, I'm not tasting any flavor, just heat. It's maybe a little smoky, but not bad. Oh, and that one starts to get your tongue too. Yeah, my wife lived there for most of her young childhood, and so she's got tons of stories from living there. I don't know. You'll have to answer Pink Floor Studios because I don't know all your details. I'm not really good at geography, and I forget locations instantly. I'm sweating. I don't know if you can see that, but I am sweating. I don't think you can see that at all. And my tongue right now is swelling from that one. These next two are going to kill me. Whew, that was a good one. Okay, so let's see if I can do this the right way here. Because I think next up, I'm supposed to show Instagram pictures. So this is the point of the show where they usually go over pictures that need more details. And so first up, this is something that impacted me way more than I expected. I bought a truck a long time ago. It was a really old truck for $900. And after driving it for like 6 years and absolutely loved that truck, I was helping a guy load it up on his trailer, pushing it, and I heard a loud pop. It was so loud that my son, who was standing next to me, heard the pop as well. And so I stepped away and tried to walk it off, and I just really couldn't like make my leg work well. And I settled with the guy who bought the truck and came inside and kind of propped my foot up. And my wife was trying to talk me into going to the hospital. And like I mentioned earlier, growing up on a farm, I said no. And so I went to bed. In the morning, I still really couldn't walk. And she eventually convinced me I should probably go see a doctor. And so we went in, and the doctor felt behind my ankle there and goes, "Oh, you don't even have a tendon back here anymore." And so I had fully ruptured my Achilles tendon, and I probably should have been able to walk at all. And so he instantly said, "We got to get you into surgery." And so they scheduled the surgery for later that week. And they sliced it open. And the doctor was able to take the two parts of my Achilles. He said it was a little bit like operating on two pieces of soggy bread, is how he described it. But he was able to reattach it. And it took me about a year of recovery. But eventually I did recover where I could walk again. And I'm still going through some things. Like I've just gotten to the point now where I can finally like jump again. But yeah, it's been a long, slow process. But if I keep doing everything, the doctor said, since I'm not like a professional athlete, that I should be basically at like 90 to 95% recovery by the time I'm all done. But it has had some psychological impact just because it has kind of introduced this concept that my body is failing around me. And that's been really hard. That's like impacted like my working out and stuff like that as well. But yeah, that's the story for that one. Let's go for this one. I couldn't walk well, I mean, I had to stay off of it. Then they put it in a cast, and I could do a walking cast. But I had like one of those knee carts that I went around on for a very long time. And so I'm not sure when I could finally start like actually walking without anything. And I was in therapy for a long time, like 3 or 4 months, maybe longer actually. But yeah, there was, and Even going downstairs for the longest time, I had to like kind of go sideways because I couldn't like trust my foot. So it was a while. Okay, so this next picture I thought was a good picture to talk about. I like to draw, and so this was just like one of the drawings I did during like an Inktober session. This was probably the second to last one, I guess. So every October I try and draw every single day of the month, and so my Instagram usually fills up with those. This particular picture has one of my favorite things to do, which is playing craps in Vegas. My wife and I, pre-COVID, would go quite often to Vegas once we discovered how much we loved it. And so this is great. And this also has a blackberry cider in the picture, which is something I've learned to really love out here in the Pacific Northwest. There's so many good like hard ciders. I don't drink often, but when I do, it tends to be a cider when I do drink. And I really do like the blackberry cider. That's really great. So this is just kind of a, we do miss Vegas a lot, and we miss our local casino. But let's see here. This is my video game closet in my office. I have a whole, I'm plugging my Insta. This is a part of the show, Shio. They go over the pictures. I'm not plugging my Insta. Yes, this is my game closet. And I have systems from like when I was a kid. I picked up new systems as an adult, like that Atari in there is one I found from a neighbor. But it's just a really cool thing I have in my office. I'm lucky to be able to have like an office and have all my geeky things in here. And so this is just a really fun thing for me. Everybody can follow me that wants to follow me. I don't post as much as I used to. I think politics has ruined me for social media for a bit, so I've kind of disappeared. My wife told me not to do all 5 pictures, but I'm totally doing 5 pictures. So sorry, sweetie, I'm not taking your advice here. So this is our backyard. We bought a, yeah, if you're gonna follow anyone, follow my wife, for crying out loud. She's got a really great Instagram. Mine's lame compared to hers. So yeah, Jim Jam, I play a ton of board games and video games. I have over, well, I'm getting close to 150 board games in my collection at this point in time. I've got stacks all over the house. And we try to play once a week with the family. But so this is our backyard. We bought a fixer-upper, I guess 7 years ago, and the house was falling apart, and it also had a pool, but at the time the pool was a pond. Yeah, we got Settlers Can, Tan, and we got like the 6-player expansions because we've got 6 people at our house. So, but oh, there you go. Follow my wife. She's big. I'm not big like her. So, yeah, when we first bought this house, it had a pond that was filled with fish and dirt and furniture and broken glass, and nothing worked. And we worked on it like the entire summer and actually like made the pool work again. And so now being like being home is so much fun with this pool, and it's like having a little like vacation. And even like last summer when we couldn't go anywhere, it was really nice having like our own thing. And so I really enjoyed that because we could have a little mini vacation at our house. But we swim as much as we possibly can in the Pacific Northwest. I mean, everyone loves my wife more. This is not an uncommon experience, OS. So I'm, I'm completely used to playing second fiddle to my wife. She's far more interesting than me. But yes, I love our pool. I always, as a kid growing up on a farm, I always wished we had a pool, and so it's really cool that like as an adult, it just kind of stumbled into something. Yeah, we had to like watch YouTube after YouTube video and like how all the pool parts worked, and we didn't hire anyone to do anything. We did everything ourselves, and so I learned how to install a pool pump and reclaim the sand filter and replace the sand filter and redo the plumbing. So it was a lot of work, but it's awesome having it. It's not always warm out here, and so heating the pool isn't like really something we have. So it's just like the sun heats it up, and we hope that we can get in there. And okay, and here's the last one. This is like just kind of like a special family thing. So every single New Year's Eve, this is a tradition we do with the kids. Although actually we didn't do it this year, but normally we play Rock Band. Oh yeah, see those shelves on the right there, Jim Jam, in this picture? We built those built-ins. So we took IKEA cabinets and framed them all in and made them like a permanent part of the house now. And that mantle I built. So I built that mantle. It's actually like a an empty box on the inside, but it looks like a wooden beam. And then I don't think you can see too much else I built in here in this picture, but I like watching videos and trying to figure out like how to fix things. Sometimes I get frustrated and just want to break the things I'm trying to fix, but I'm getting better. But yeah, we like to play Rock Band. We still play the old Rock Band every single New Year's Eve with us just like singing and ringing in the new year that way, which is a lot of fun. Okay, so that's the end of my Instagram. Let's go back to chatting. Whew. I talked long enough with the Insta, and I think he actually does it on purpose that way because it helps them move through the heat of that one. Then when it first hits that hot point, I'm pretty sure timing wise, that's why he does it then. Okay, so we're finally into the sauces I haven't tried yet that scare the crap out of me. This next wing is wing number 5, and this sauce is called the Ako Miso Ghost Reaper. Oh my gosh. It's 116,000 on the Scoville range. So we jumped up, oh my gosh, a lot. The last one was 77. So this one's got blazing hot chilies meet savory akamiso to create the perfect umami bomb. Buckle up, you're in for a wild ride. It's got ghost peppers, Carolina Reaper, rice wine vinegar, akamiso, tamari, sesame oil, and salt. Oh man. Okay, here we go. I'm super nervous about this one. Nice coloring there. Yeah, that link behind me, I painted. I painted the Batman and the Supergirl. I did the Calvin and Hobbes back there. I did. And then others are from like artists from shows and stuff. That's more flavorful than I expected. That one's not too bad. I can feel like the roof of my mouth is going crazy. But I'm I'm not really like good at anything. I just do lots of things. Like I try all sorts of things. Like let's see here. This is my art desk over here. So you can see like the miniatures I've tried to learn how to paint. What else is on that desk? I do comic book collecting. No, it's not numb. It's like it's heating up. I'm probably going to have to take a drink here. I'm trying to ride it out. But this one's increasing in heat, and I can feel my lips are getting numb. So let's do a little milk now. Okay. Whew. Yeah, I consider myself like a generalist. I bounce from like hobbies to hobbies. Like on my desk here, I've got a Rubik's Cube that I've never learned how to solve all the way. I can solve the first 2 layers. I haven't finished learning to solve the third. I've got 3 decks of cards because I like playing poker, but I'm also trying to learn cardistry. I've got poker chips because I've been trying to learn how to like do poker chips across my knuckles but very, very, very poorly. I've got some dice here because I was trying to see if there's anything to dice control. A lot of craps players claim you can control dice, and so I've been trying to practice that kind of stuff. I don't want to show my progress on anything because I feel braggy enough as it is, but that's my finger roll. Let's see if I can get it better here. The card tricks, let's see, these ones are getting pretty beat up because I've been trying to do more of like that type of thing, so they're getting pretty beat up. But I'm getting some of the cuts figured out. Dice control, from what I've seen, does not work. I've done a lot of tests, and for a while there, I really believed I was getting to a point where I was controlling the dice. I mean, I was rolling for like hours every morning against like a fake craps table wall. But I'm like average at everything. I'm not good at everything. I think that's what we're gonna find for like scores for the tournament too. Is that like I'll fall somewhere in the middle. And yeah, I do. I get really into something, and then I move on to the next thing, and then it becomes like something I'll pick up every now and then from the past. But I never like get good enough to be good. I only get good enough to be okay. That's like my trait. It makes me really useful at work because I know a little bit about lots of things, and so it helps at work for problem solving because I'm always like picking up something new to play with, and so I'm always like, oh yeah, I was doing something with that like a couple weeks ago. And I remember you can do something, because I always know like just enough to get by, but I wouldn't consider myself great. Okay, my next question was, you met Will Wheaton. Can you share about that experience? Any other celebrity run-ins? So yeah, I met Will Wheaton, and it was really awesome. And he probably has absolutely no memory of that, but I do. But me having a memory of it, it's fairly surprising because I was super drunk. So I went to PAX, so the Penny Arcade Expo. I would go every single year, way back when you could still get tickets. Like you could actually like, when I was going, you could wait weeks to decide whether you wanted to buy tickets or not to go to PAX. Now, if you want to go to PAX, you have to buy them in the first like 2 milliseconds, or they're sold out that fast. So this was back in the days where you could decide to buy PAX tickets, and that same team and I, who would do hot sauces, we went up to Seattle to PAX. Well, at the time, now it's PAX Prime, but it was just PAX back then. And it was after the exhibition hall had closed, and it was going to all the parties at night. And across the street, there's a place called GameWorks that serves beer, and there's all sorts of arcade games. That's where a lot of like the gaming geeks would end up hanging out. And so we're getting all sorts of drinks and playing arcade games and stumbling around, and we suddenly spot Will Wheaton, and I unabashedly ran up to him and said, "Hey, if I don't ask you for a picture, my wife's going to kill me." And so I have a picture. Oh, I should have found it, of me like drunkenly having my arm around Will Wheaton and him standing there with like a plastered on smile with this drunk geek hanging off of him. He and his handler were very gracious about it. It was just a fine experience, but like I know how terribly drunk I was. So it was not the best version of myself he was experiencing, but it was really cool. And he was just wandering around playing video games with the rest of us, so it was really a lot of fun. The only other celebrity I've ever met, I didn't actually end up meeting, I just sat at a table near them, was Bob Saget. We were going out after a company Christmas party, I think, and my wife and I were with a group, and we get up to this like fancy restaurant at the top of this hotel, and Bob Saget was sitting at the table like next to us, and we all noticed. and I had to convince. I was the designated driver, so I was not drinking. And so I had to convince the entire table to leave poor Bob Saget alone because he obviously was just trying to eat his meal. And so it's a lot of me just like herding the cats and keeping them in the booth so they didn't go over and harass Bob Saget in their drunken state. But I'm sure he heard them because they were very, very loud. But it was a fun night. That was Bob. I was close to Bob Saget, but it was pretty funny. It was good times. I think that's the only two celebrities I've met. Been to a bunch of concerts, but never really met any of the people at the concerts. So good times, good times. Okay, I got one more wing here, and I'm putting it off. Okay. Traditionally on the show, they've got their own hot sauce at the end called the Last Dab. I don't have the Last Dab, but I've got one that's close to the end of their run, which is called, this one's called Hellfire. It's got a delightful looking Reaper on it. It's called Fear This. So this is featuring the Carolina Reaper, the world's hottest peppers. And so someday I will have the actual Last Dab, but for now, this is going to be my Last Dab. And I guess I have to put an extra one on here. Oh my, this feels so dumb. Oh, and a lot came out. That's great. Oh, okay. So, cheers, everybody. This is going to be painful. So we'll see where that goes. So this one is 679,000 is the Scoville level. The previous one was 116,000, so it is almost 7 times as much. So, oh man, okay. That one's burning down my throat. Gotta make sure I don't rub my eyes here. I'm trying to decide what I tasted in there, or if I tasted anything. That's hot. And it's still built deep. It's like burning everywhere inside. Whew. I've got that like dragon's breath thing going on right now too, where like when you breathe out, it's just pain. So when I'm laughing, it's hurting so much. Oh, okay. I just gotta shake that off. But yeah, that got like everything inside my mouth is just quivering. My body is wondering what the heck I'm doing to it. Okay, so my last question I had for myself was 2020. It was a rough year. What was the experience like for you? This has been it was interesting, I guess. I mean, first of all, we were really fortunate, and so in some ways, I was really thankful for like the situation we were in, and we definitely didn't take that for granted. My wife's self-employed; her business was doing well through it all. My company easily transitioned us all to work from home, so I didn't have any issues there. And so we're really thankful for that. And we try to do our part to like kind of like give back to people that like were struggling more than we were through all of that. It was a scary year. It was really just like information was hard to come by, especially like honest information. I work in an industry involved with advertising, so I understand. As my voice is dying here, it's really eating up my throat right now. So I understand that like people are looking for clicks. I get that, and that's what most like articles at this point in time are. And so it's really hard to get information. That was really frustrating and scary. And then I'm very neutral and try to be very even-handed when it comes to politics. And that was becoming really challenging this year. I mean, I myself, I'm not a Republican and I'm not a Democrat. I consider myself like an independent at this point in time, and there's really nothing out there that represents me. I don't feel anymore, and so, but I was finding it really, really hard reading things on social media, which is why I mentioned earlier that I've kind of taken a break from like Instagram and stuff like that because I felt like I couldn't be honest, and I like being honest, and I didn't like that about social media. Then that I felt like I was like staying silent in order to like keep the peace, and so I didn't enjoy that. So yeah, 2020 was rough and scary. I think I've actually become more of a homebody, which is probably really miserable for my wife because she is very. I mean, she's suffering worse than I am because I'm a introvert, and so it's easy for me to like not be around people because I get most of my socializing via my wife, anyways. So we actually discovered when we started going out again that me being out in restaurants was really, really hard for me, which was surprising because I'd lost some of that muscle memory of like how to be out around people. And so that's been hard. So I don't know, those are some of my thoughts about it all. Okay, let's see what Zuzu's got here. What is something your kids have taught you that you learned from fatherhood that surprised you? On the hilarious side of things, there have been a lot of phrases that I have uttered that I never would have thought that I would have uttered. One I often say is, stop wiping your butt on your brother is not something I thought I would say, and it's something I did say. So there's things like that. I got really used to cleaning up a lot of bodily fluids to the point where like they don't phase me much at this point. So one of my favorite puking stories is one of my sons came and got me one night and said I threw up, which was really surprising for me because I am usually a fairly light sleeper. I'm kind of like tuned for like noises that don't make sense, and I would have thought that I would have heard it. And I was like, well, where did you throw up, buddy? And he grabbed me by the hand and he walked me out past his bedroom and down the hallway and into the living room. And I said, did you puke in here? He goes, yeah, I puked right there. And he pointed. And as I'm leaning down, he threw up to the spot that he was pointing to. So he Babe Ruthed his puke. So those were, I gotten really used to cleaning up poop and puke and all sorts of things. And they're boys. There's pee everywhere. I mean, their bathroom downstairs is a nightmare. So yeah, so that's something that I don't think I would have like expected as a dad necessarily. They don't really like necessarily warn you that's coming your way. I think the thing that surprised me, like on a serious note though, the most, is just that I think with my science-based brain, with raising kids, you kind of expect, okay, well, it's got the same DNA that the previous kid had, and they're living in a very similar environment. And so you would kind of expect your kids to kind of come out more similar than they do. And so that's been really surprising for me. It's just that they're not like me, they're not like my wife. I mean, they are in pieces, and you definitely see that. But they're also not like each other. And so we've got four boys, and they're still growing and learning who they are. But they've got such unique and distinct personalities and things that they're struggling with, and it's all unique to them. Even though you kind of feel like they should be more similar. But yeah, we were busy. It took us until we finally figured out what was making them. If you hug really tight, it makes kids. So how many fights per day? Well, it depends on the children. Like now, at this point in time, since they're so old, like my oldest is 20. He's turning 21 here in June. And so he doesn't really fight with any of his brothers. And then my soon to be 18-year-old doesn't fight with anybody either. The younger two still will bicker some, but yeah, they've got similarities too. I mean, they're not like complete opposites, and there's definitely some like core family things that we all have the same, which is fun. I mean, our dinners and like board game nights are. I feel sorry when there's somebody visiting our household that isn't used to the style of communication that we have, because our conversations can be a little intense sometimes. My kids have strong feelings on things, and they also enjoy a good troll. So combining those two things, that's an interesting thing. You guys are like giving me some peer pressure here. I'm really tempted to try some more of that Fear This, because I want to see if I can taste more of like what that Carolina Reaper pepper was. So I was able to talk my way through it, which is really interesting too, because I wonder how often that helps with the guests. You can kind of distract your brain that way, and then it like loses its thing. Okay, so more Carolina Reaper. So Fear This. Let's try some more. And we'll see if I can talk some more. I don't normally give in to peer pressure, but I was kind of wanting to do this myself just because I really liked the flavor. Once you get past the actual terribleness of the thing it does to your mouth, it's got like a really strong initial vinegar bite, but then like a lot of flavors come through after that. But then it starts to hit with the actual like flame. So yeah, initially you can actually really taste the flavors. I think my wife said she found them at World Market. Is that right, sweetie? I we'll have to see. I might be okay. Yeah, so she said that she found these at World Market. So World Market has them if you've got a World Market in your area. They've got the hot ones, hot sauce. Our boys at this point in time are fairly self-managing. We're not very helicopter parenty. We kind of like ebb and flow as a family. We're like we all kind of like do our own thing and then kind of come together and do things together occasionally. And so we don't have like dinners together as a family every single night. My kids have played with us one time, I think, early on. My youngest did, but the six of us have played among us together at least once. Not again, I don't think. They don't play as much because they felt like it was a broken game. For my older two, since you could essentially discuss the best strategy ahead of time, well, so I mean, we know it's broken, right? Because you have to like kind of make rules that the game doesn't enforce in order to make it competitive. Because literally, if the whole crew decided to just run around together and do every single task together in order, and so you just start at the first task and just work your way around, it's so they consider it broken because the game doesn't enforce that. You have to like enforce it, and so that's why they consider it broken, because there's an optimal play that can guarantee a win every single time for the crew, and there's nothing that the imposters can really do to like fix that. And she doesn't like lying. She's the opposite of me, whereas I thrive on lying and spinning the good tale. She's not a fan, so which is unfortunate for her because the children and myself like to play a lot of deception games. And oh man, that's really getting me. My like, she is very good at games like Ticket to Ride, Catan. Like she's great at. We play Lords of Waterdeep a lot. She's really good at. We were playing Animal Crossing a lot, and then we kind of like just stopped one day. I'm hoping we get back into Stardew Valley again, though, once they get the local co-op again. But yeah, we play Catan. We had to take a break from Catan for a while because after my wife started winning constantly, we now just like all attack her instantly. I have not played Mansions of Madness. I have played Betrayal at Baldur's Gate, which is similar, but I have not played Mansions of Madness. But we play a lot of the Resistance. Yeah, Lords of Waterdeep is, if you're familiar with board games, oh man, this is getting me. There's a style of board game called worker placement, and Lords of Waterdeep is it's based in like the D&D Forgotten Realms like theme, but it's a really great entry level worker placement style game, and so I really recommend Lords of Waterdeep if you want to kind of get your feet wet with a worker placement game. One of the things that we like about that one is that the randomness is minimized. So there's no dice rolling, and which gives like strategy players a real good chance to win. Then at that point in time, because games where it's like based on the roll of a die, there's just too much RNG built into the game, and so which is done to like level the playing field so everyone has a chance. But if you really want to try and like match your wits against somebody, it's not like the more RNG you add into a game, the less competitive the game can be. But the other nice thing about Lords of Waterdeep, and we've shown this to be true in our family like time and time again, is that some board games really suck because you can kind of see like maybe like 10 minutes into the game that there's like maybe two people that the game's coming down to. And Lords of Waterdeep doesn't work that way. Right up until the end, everyone's still in it, and you got to be really careful because, yeah, our second oldest gets really mad at random games. He hates them. But yeah, so right up into the last turn of Lords of Waterdeep, everyone can still have a chance. Like you can still be like doing some kind of secret play that people aren't even aware of. You could still have like some kind of victory condition people aren't aware of. And there's still like an opportunity to make a really big play at the end. And so, my kids are maybe too smart. It's been really challenging keeping up with them, to be honest. Like, in some ways, we had to kind of give up. Like, they're so far more advanced than I am with computers, which is terrible. So that's not great. It's useful when we're troubleshooting things, but and I'm good with computers, and so with my kids being even more advanced. Have you played any FPS games? Yes. So when we first got married, Unreal Tournament 2004 had come out fairly soon to that, maybe like 2 or 3 years after we got married. And I got really, really into Unreal Tournament. I was playing it constantly. And then I played it enough that I got first person shooter. And so I played that game enough that I got noticed, and a clan asked me to join, and so I ended up joining a clan, which is it's really funny that like that's how gaming groups are called. We refer to them as clans. It's a really funny thing. And so I joined this clan and was playing with them constantly, and then the clan ended up joining a league, and so so the clan, we would actually have practice multiple nights a week and then games on the weekend for our league that we were in. And so I think the league was called TWL. And so we were working on climbing up the ladder for like the TWL. And I was like obsessed over my Unreal Tournament stats because Unreal would publish all the stats. And I would like look at them daily. I don't think we're a clan because when we play, we don't change our names to have a clan name. So we would have to like come up with a clan name, and everyone would have to have that at the start of their name. I think no public would ever want to play with us again, though, if we did that. So, but yeah, I played that game consistently, and then I kind of tapered off for a hilarious reason. There was a day I was driving home from work, and as I was going across the bridge, I think a bird must have gone by or something, but I instinctively ducked so I wouldn't get pancaked by the raptor, and recognized at that point in time that maybe I was playing that video game a little too much since I was reacting to events in the real world as if it was the game. And so I dialed that one back a little bit. After Unreal, I got into Guild Wars. I think was the next game I got into. And I got way into Guild Wars too. And so my whole clan moved in away from Unreal Tournament. I got them into Guild Wars. We all started playing Guild Wars like crazy. And we had a lot of fun playing that game too. I was playing a ranger, and I got that leveled up to max really quick. But we got really good at some of the harder missions. And so my guild got really good at doing escort missions for those. And so one or two of us would like grab a bunch of randoms who would pay us. And they would pay us like half up front and then half on delivery through the mission. And that was a lot of fun. We did that for a while. I got good enough that we started like making up new challenges for ourselves where it would be like, okay, can we run this mission naked? Or like, what's the weakest weapon we can go through this mission with? And so I did that a ton. A lawnmower game. I am not obsessed with mowing lawns, but I am obsessed. Well, I can't be obsessed with mowing lawns because of my hay fever, so I still get crazy with that. But I bought a robot lawnmower, I guess last year. I know I'm obsessed with that thing. So I have a robot that mows my back lawn, and it's amazing. I love that thing. It will go out every morning, and yeah, it's great. I don't think I've got any pictures of it. Oh, I wish I did. It's absolutely fantastic. It's been like one of my favorite purchases. Yeah, it's like a Roomba. And so I had to like install a wire around the perimeter of my yard, but it will undock itself on a schedule. I've got an app for it on my phone, but you just set up the schedule and it'll undock itself, go mow, and it's so quiet that you can like be outside when it's running. It can mow at night. It's so quiet. Like it's the quietest thing in the world. It's got like 3 tiny little razor blades, and it's doing like what they call micro clippings. And so you never really have like a ton of grassland everywhere because it just like, it's always like keeping its haircut really short. But it goes out and mows all the yard and goes and parks itself and charges and just keeps the schedule up. And then it'll do edging on schedules too. You can say, oh yeah, go do the edging. You run through the yard the opposite way along the wire and do the edging. But it's like the quietest, smallest little thing. It only mows in like a 4-inch wide width. But I absolutely love that thing. So I didn't mow my grass at all last year, and it was fantastic. Whew, okay, I think my throat has settled down. That was something else. Yeah, the robot lawnmower is quieter than our Roomba. We've actually stopped running our Roomba because our Roomba is way too loud. Like there's no time of the day that's great for it. I don't think so, Jim Jam. No more. I'm not that dumb. That's what got me into that mess like a decade ago. I am happy though that I liked the flavor of this one. I was worried it's going to be like too spicy and I wouldn't like eat it everywhere. So wings is one of my favorite foods. There aren't a lot of wing places on the West Coast that are that great. I don't know why the East Coast is better at making wings, but they are. But I have found one, and I think we found another one last night, actually, just randomly. And then steak is probably like my second favorite thing. I like to make a good steak or go out for a good steak. Yeah, there's all sorts of places just for wings. And there were some on the East Coast too that were really, really good. Although I think that, and this is a hilarious thing to say, but I swear even like getting wings at Denny's on the East Coast beats a lot of wings from like wings places on the West Coast, which is really surprising because Denny's is not really good. But that's how bad some of the wing places are out here. I don't think we have any steaks. I can't make steaks for you. Yeah, they have wings at Denny's. Yeah, it took me, I think, 8 years before I finally found a wing place out here on the West Coast that was as good as a wing. Like it matches the average wing place on the East Coast. There's a place out here called Fire on the Mountain, and the wings at Fire on the Mountain are so good out here. But it took me so long to find a place like that. But there's a fast food style place called Wingstop that we ordered from last night, and they had really good wings. And so I'm hopeful that once COVID's over, I can actually go visit the place and see what it's like. I worked at a Bob Evans when I was in college in Breezewood, Pennsylvania, the city of truck stops and restaurants and motels. But yeah, Bob Evans is where I was a waiter for quite a while. Yep, Breezewood, PA. That was the closest like little town. It's not much of a town. It's like a truck stop. Oh yeah, KFC doesn't really count. I liked waiting tables. Waiting tables is like it's such a funny thing because it's all about manipulation. And so you're just trying to make people happy, and it's like just understanding like what they need and giving them those things. I made like so much money in tips waiting tables. I had like such a great time doing it. I think I was also good at it though because I knew it was part time. Like I knew I wasn't going to be like waiting tables my whole life, and so I was able to like lean into it and really enjoy it more. Yeah, Breezewood is hilarious. Like their slogan literally is the city of truck stops, restaurants, and motels because that's all that's there. So on the East Coast, in Pennsylvania in particular, there's something called the Pennsylvania Turnpike, and it's the road that runs through the whole state. You can like hop on it and basically never hit a traffic light because it's just a highway that goes from city to city. But one of the exits for the Pennsylvania Turnpike is Breezewood. And so when you get off at Breezewood, it's just a bunch of restaurants and hotels and truck stops. And so it's like this exit off the turnpike that's just in the middle of farm country. There's nothing else around but Breezewood. And yeah, so that's like the little town that I worked at when I was in college. Did I miss anybody else's questions? Because I know Zuzu earlier had posted one a couple times. Oh, I think the top of my mouth has stopped burning. We have a dog now. We've had an ebb and flow of pets over the years. Like we've had fish at various times. We've had hamsters and gerbils at various times. We had cats at one point in time. But the only pet we have in the house now is our dog, Guster. And he is an old man like me now. He's definitely like starting to have vision problems and trouble jumping up on the couch. We bought him like little stairs for that. But he is our dog, and that is the end of our pet journey. We want to do a lot of travel later. And so like once the kids are all in college or college years, we want to be able to travel. And so Guster will be the last pet we have, so we can do that a little bit easier. But he's been a really good dog. He's lazy like us, and so it's been really nice. He basically just sleeps and eats and cuddles, and he's been like a really low key dog. Even like the first weekend we had him, he was already potty trained. So it's been piece of cake. He was a shelter dog, so we found him at the shelter, and he just fit into our family really well. So yes, we do have pets. Yeah, we did almost lose him in our pool. We think he couldn't see the edge of the pool and fell in. And so we had to like warm him up because he'd been in there barking, and we got him out, fished him out, and had to like put heating pads on him and heating blankets on him. Yeah, in the U.S., most people are terrible tippers already, Eve. So the fact that you did any tipping made you better than a lot of people. So could you get the whole gambit of people who think that you shouldn't tip at all, and so they like it's like a political statement they're making by leaving you a crappy or no tip, or they think that it's 1950 and 25 cents is a good tip. And so you run into all kinds. But I think what you end up finding is that anyone who's ever worked service ends up being a great tipper. And so I like to tip really well when I go out because I just know what a crap job it is. And so I think the service industry workers keep the service industry workers tipped is how it works. But it's very cool that you were concerned about tipping in America. So some states in America still pay minimum wage for people that work and get tips. In Pennsylvania, they do not do that. So in Pennsylvania, when I was waiting tables, I was only making $2.07 an hour, I think is what it was back then. And so I needed the tips in order to like make car payments and stuff like that. So other states, they make minimum wage plus tips, but that's not true everywhere. So yeah, it's like I said, it's not that that's not true like in every state. Like in the United States, it's really weird because like the rules change as soon as you cross like the state boundaries. So I think in like Oregon, you still make minimum wage plus tips, and so, but in other states, they can pay less than minimum wage. Something I used to do when I was waiting tables was my boss would often need people to stay after and do cleanups or like help the dish crew catch up. And so I would always make him sign a contract to pay me a different amount and help me stay late. And so I was making way more than minimum wage to help him catch up after hours. And so I love to do that, negotiating with him at the end of the day, how much he was going to pay me to help him catch up the kitchen crew. Yeah, see, just looking through the chat, like it's crazy the different ranges that people were doing. I mean, in Breezewood, I was probably making, I think a bad day for me might have been like $70. I was more often making to like $100 to $200 a day when I was waiting tables there. I got tipped very, very well. Wow, I can't believe I survived that. I'm trying to think which one was my favorite. I might have actually liked the last one the best. Well, I think that might be it for me. Thanks everybody for chatting. I don't have any wings left. And you can't talk me into doing them anymore, Jim Jam. I'm done. This was really fun. Thanks for indulging my little faux hot ones episode. Not chugging the soft Cheeto. You guys are terrible influences. You guys are hilarious. Well, I do thank you all for watching. I've been wanting to do this since Christmas. As soon as I got the sauces, I kind of like had the idea like this would be a really fun thing to do because I really do like watching hot ones. And so this was a fun little entertainment. Do more in real life streams. I might do more in real life streams. I've thought about like what else I'm going to do besides Among Us for streaming because I do want to do some other things. So maybe I'll do some more chat sessions or something. So no chugging. Okay, that's it for me. Thanks everybody for watching. I really appreciate it. And I'm sure I'll see you guys later playing Among Us. Bye.